Hey everyone, and welcome back. My name is Asia Berg, and today on the Gear Up channel, we're going to be talking about mental health awareness. So, I know some of you know some things about it, but I thought it'd be great for us to hear from a social worker and someone who also has their own private practice. Carrie Sheldon from Barr Middle School. She is their social worker, and she also has her own private practice. We had great conversations around the stigma with mental health, but as well as a lot of the resources that are out there and available to you. So let's go hear what she has to say.
Awesome. So, what can you tell our students and families about mental health and some of the stigmas around it?
Uh, I'm hoping some of the stigmas have gotten better through the years. I know that a lot of times people will say, "Hey, I'm going to counseling," or "I feel sad," and uh, kids especially don't want that crazy way, so they are more reluctant to say something to people. And I feel really good about where our students are at Barr Middle School because they are able to have contact with multiple adults who can help them through that process if they are sad or if they are worried. Um, and they have adults too that'll reach out to families. And the stigma is real, even with the pandemic going on. People think, "Oh, nobody wants to talk to you. Do we have contact with you?" Not knowing what to do. And so, in order to break through that stigma, um, it's recommended that you just ask straightforward questions. What are your friends doing and talking about? What are you doing? What are you concerned with or worried about? And letting students and your own children just talk about it. And that breaks down some of those barriers.
Yeah.
One of the best things kids can do is keep their routine. Get up at the same time every morning, eat meals at the same time, talk to your friends virtually, talk to your grandparents and people who are relatives that don't live with you virtually, and really limiting screen time except for that face-to-face contact with somebody that you care about. That is really important. The whole idea of having a routine and making sure that you have filled your day and you're doing something helps people not get depressed. It helps people set goals and look forward to things. Setting up a time where you're always talking to your parent or your guardian or whoever's in charge of you about important things like how are you doing with e-learning? How was your friend? I noticed that you were on the phone with them. Have some conversation and kind of normal with all of this going on right now.
Yeah. What resources are there available to them either in town or online?
We have quite a few resources. The in-town resources that we have include meal delivery. There are certain churches that are doing that. There's also food for thought that goes out to certain families each week. Uh, there are resources at home that shortened or narrowed the amount that of food items you can get with your food stamps. There are also many community members who are willing to pick up, drop off, run errands for elderly. If you have somebody in your family that has tested positive or just is in isolation because somebody at their work or that they came in contact with later tested positive, do not be afraid to reach out to us at school or and say, "Hey, we're right now. Will you drop off food for us? Will you pick up our groceries?" I know Hy-Vee is delivering. Walmart will come out and put the groceries right in the back of your vehicle. There are different ways that you can get around that. Um, one of the other things that you can do is wear your mask when you go out. That just protects you. And if you are asymptomatic, it protects people around you from spreading uh, the coronavirus. Other resources that are out there, of course, are online resources. They're Nebraska Family Line, their Boytown National Hotline, Nebraska Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and even the Centers for Disease and Control have different tips and different things that you can do with yourself or with your parents, or that your parents can do to help you get through this. Mid Plains has the Crisis Stabilization Unit here in Grand Island. Their number 385-5250. If you are worried and your mental health seems to be deteriorating and you don't know what to do, that's a 24-hour number. That's a little find somebody to talk to and check on you. Region 3 Behavioral Health Service, they're checking their voicemails daily. That's an 800 number, 800-321-4981. We also have parent resources. Like I said, the National Child Traumatic Stress Network. That's an online. They have some e-learning that parents can do and that educators can do to help students through this time, or even their elderly family members. We also have the Child Mind Institute. They've put good looking about how to choose this coronavirus pandemic. And then we, of course, have all of our medical centers and our doctors. And if you call, they will tell you what their hours are for just regular routine visits versus if you are ill and you have some symptoms you're concerned about and what time to come then. And they say, just don't show up, call ahead so that we can schedule you and take precautions if we need to. But to remain calm and to talk through it and not be afraid to say, this is what's going on with me. And on the flip side, if you have an injury and it's something you can treat at home, like you bumped your head, or you have a cold, or something that just naturally happens this time of year, and we don't need to go to the doctor for that, and it's okay, and you don't have to panic about those things. You can just call in and say, this is what I have, and get your medical attention. And there are also many counselors in our area that you can call their office, and they're doing telehealth or teletherapy, where you can see them when I'm talking, and no confidentiality, and use the session to help you through whatever you bring to the table that day. And they still have a lot of counselors locally that are here for you. So if you've been to counseling and you think, I don't know if I can go because we're not supposed to go anywhere, you absolutely can go. They've reduced a lot of the restrictions for telehealth, and so people are available for you.
That's cool. Do you have any tips or advice for our students?
I would say that, don't be afraid. And sometimes people are afraid because all at once we can't go anywhere. But don't be afraid. Don't listen to the news. Let your moms and dads do that. If there's something that's concerning, they'll come and tell you if there's something you need to know. But don't listen to the news, because some of it's real, some of it's not real. There are a lot of things on the internet and on YouTube. So always check that out with your moms and dads if you have heard anything, and they'll let you know whether it's true or not true. And that's very important, because if we believe everything that's out there on the internet, or that our friends say, and we don't know if it's a fact or not, that can increase our anxiety. And we really want to just make some goals and move on with our life, and say, okay, what am I going to do when summer break comes? What am I going to do next fall? We don't know whether we're going to do e-learning or people will be wearing masks. We don't know that. So take one day at a time. If you are worried about something, you have myself, you have Mr. LeCompte, you have Mrs. Harpham, all of our middle school available to talk to you face-to-face, online, or even to talk to you on the phone, texting, emailing, but don't just worry because you don't know. Always ask an adult. That's probably the most important things for kids that are middle school age and below.
Is there anything you want to say about, since this is Mental Health Awareness Month, anything you want to say about that?
Well, there's a lot to say about Health Awareness Month, Mental Health Awareness Month. We, as the United States, as Grand Island, we have a lot going on. And it's just really important that you, even when you're isolated physically, that you don't isolate in your head, that you talk about how you're feeling, that you talk to people every day to say, check in. You have champions. You do things that, what I say, kind of fill your cup, make you feel good about yourself. It's a good time to practice all of those things we talk about at school, which is paying it forward, um, doing acts of kindness, and helping people, because everybody has some issues. Either it's financial or transportation, or I don't have Wi-Fi. Uh, and every family's a little bit different. So it's okay to say, hey, how can I help you get through this? It helps everybody in your community, your neighbors, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles. And we really want you to be mentally healthy as we're going through the summer. So getting outside, you can go outside even though we're quarantined or isolated or doing social distancing. You can be outside. You can be in the sunshine. You can ride your bikes. And we encourage you to do that, because just being physically healthy makes us feel good. And that helps us for our mental health. So exercise, get sleep, eat well, talk to people, and you will go through this situation just fine.
Well,
And since I'm old, I've had quite a journey, let me tell you. So when I was in elementary school and I wanted to be a teacher, and I got to be a junior in college, and I thought, I don't want to be a teacher. That's kind of scary. I don't want to do that. And so I decided to go into social work. And I switched all my classes and got social work classes. So I was probably 20 when I thought, oh, I need to switch gears. That's not what I wanted to be. And then I got out of school and I worked as a school social worker, or a school social worker, but a long-term care social worker. And wanted to just have a whole new experience. So I moved to Baltimore, which is in Maryland. And I was a nanny for a year for a little boy who was autistic and his little sister. And then I came back to Nebraska and got a job at Health and Human Services, which, as I said, I'm old, back then was called Social Services, where I worked for 17 years investigating child abuse and neglect. Worked on my master's degree because I thought, well, I better get a master's degree so that I can help at different levels where I can't sit on the floor all the time like I'd like to talk and interview kids. So I thought, well, I'm going to get some more knowledge, and I got my master's degree in community counseling, and I went into private practice. And by private practice, I mean I sat and I talked to people and I helped them through some of their mental health challenges, or just through transitions. How do I get a new job? How do I move to a different school and be okay? Just through transitions. And then about 8, 9 years ago, I got all that, hey, we need to work at Grand Island Public Schools in middle school. And I thought, yes, I love middle schoolers. So that was excellent. So I've been at bar ever since, and I just love it. But I also took a path of many different I guess, work situations, in that I went from interviewing little kids to doing therapy with kids and families, back to being with kids again and helping them through middle school years. In between that, I DJ'd for a while on a race day, and that's kind of always something to learn. I became a yoga teacher instructor, and I did a lot of that stuff. So, oops, sorry. Uh, Always helping people, kind of thing. So it was kind of fun. Um,
Cool.